I wanted to kind of go back into my story. I'm about to be 45, so it's crazy that I'm already at this place where I've been out of school as long as I've been in school, as far as my schooling in college and just this adult life that we're told about. And so people ask me, like, did you go to school to do a nonprofit? I'm like, no, but yes, because no, I don't have a degree in this, but everything in my life has been my classroom. And so, this is the important part. And often we don't see this until we reflect back onto our story. And if we don't cheat or skip class or CLEP any courses, but we really stay faithful to what in this not yet seasons that you guys are probably in, juggling daytime jobs, as well as doing the thing that is really building a passion in you. We really build incredible muscles of faith and trust and perseverance and so many transferable skills that will come into play. I heard a podcast this morning, I was listening to a pastor, and he said, impatience is the enemy of faith. And that really, it just distills down a lot of things about this journey of being an entrepreneur. There's so much patience involved, but when we get impatience, we absolutely grab the steering wheel of our life and we just press hard on that gas pedal. And we often outpace where the Holy Spirit has us and the things he's wanting to teach us in this waiting period. And so when I look back at my 20s, that whole decade, right, I'm just going to hit what I did to show how ridiculously nonlinear my life has been here. When I first graduated from college, I was actually an alumni director of a university for 2 years. Then I was a hotel sales manager for 6 years. And then for 2 years, I was a special ed teacher like Sheila in middle school in the public school system. So that first 10 years, I did university setting, hotel management, and special ed. I went back to start working on my master's, which I never finished. Then I look at my 30s, the second decade of my life. I got married at 29. I had my first baby at 30. I actually have 3 children. I had one at 30, 32, and 35. So I became a stay-at-home mom while my husband and I'm going to circle back to this, we kicked off a professional wedding photography business that we still do. It's been 15 years of being a professional photographer. And the good story, what I'm currently doing full-time, didn't even start until I was 39. And we're about to hit 6 years of running a nonprofit ministry. So if you can pull a thread through all of that to make sense of why I'm even sitting in a nonprofit chair, it just is crazy. But then when I actually look back, again, I just think it's so important for us because there's so many Ebenezers and nuggets that God, it's so good to be reflective because it helps us stay in a posture of gratitude for these journeys instead of resenting or wanting to get through stuff a lot quicker. And I was really looking back and I was like, okay, so what did I glean from these things that I can absolutely see right now is happening in my life? And I look back being the alumni director. It's my first professional job, right? I know it sounds silly, but it's just dressing professionally, showing up on time, answering to a boss. I had to create a magazine. I had one employee that I had to manage. So that was my first time delegating and really kind of, what is this whole thing of running a office? And I had to communicate on behalf of the university to all the alumni. And so there was just it was kind of like drinking from a fire hose, really, really important things that as I look back to what I'm doing now, that were absolutely founded in this season. Then I went into hotel sales management, and that was just a crazy jump. It's the first time that I negotiated a salary and kind of started to understand my worth and my value, and that it was okay, even at 24, to ask for certain benefits and salary. It took all my courage, especially as an introvert, to do that, but it just really had to advocate for myself. I learned how to make cold calls, how to write contracts, how to entertain clients, how to put on large events, and to maintain a large client base. So I look back and I hated that job. It was the darkest season of my life, my most sinful, my most wayward. It was terrible. And hotel is just an interesting group of people to work around. So it was a personal stripping down. But again, God uses everything. And he still built in me so many skills and a capacity for perseverance. I can now look back at what I hated and just there's some gratitude that now is kind of overtaking the shadow side of that season. Going to special ed, that was again a massive jump for me, completely different thing. And it was beautiful. There were so many wonderful things I loved about it with the students, but it was in the end not something I wanted to stick with. But when I realized, like, going back to get my master's in my late 20s, I started to have a tenderness towards people who are doing this all the time, trying to go to college and work a full-time job. And that is just it just built in compassion and empathy, which is always a good thing to build into our hearts. And just this ability to advocate for marginalized kids, which now what I do with ministry and with missions and the people groups that I've gotten to work with around the world, we work with extremely marginalized people groups. And so I see the Lord again, he took something 15 years ago and he's reusing this in such a different way that I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know what you're doing, Lord. It also helped me be very creative in how I communicate and teach, because I'm working with kids with all different types of disabilities. And so now I run a communication ministry. Like, how can I not see the Lord again refining me in this job?